you took that on as your identity instead of hearing that as, okay, that's your brokenness trying to put your broken pieces onto me.
Mm.
That's your wounds. You trying to bleed that out onto me. And so instead of letting that roll off, we let them right in our cement when it's wet.
Oh, wait, 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 wait a minute. I'm sorry. Give me that again. Give me that line again.
Yep. And I'm an admitted plagiarist, and
I'm
yo,
an admitted
I
plagiarist.
listen. So I heard that specifically from Dr. Hart Ramsey. He was talked about how certain things are written in our cement when it's wet.
Mm.
So again, if you think about concrete, if you think about cement, if you think about a sidewalk, as they're laying it down, it comes out liquid and everything. But with, like, there's the whole thing of, like, put a handprint on it or something like that, or even like the Hollywood, like, stars of fame and whatnot, they'll do their hands and whatnot. And so that gets imprinted. And so then when it gets hardened, it stays within the cement.
I've heard it said that people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. But I'm also learning in my journey that sometimes a season will come into your life for a reason to change you for a lifetime. I'm going to say that again. Sometimes a season comes into your life for a reason to change you for a lifetime. I believe that I have been in the midst of a season where everything is changing. And I'm also excited that we are entering into season 2 of Hope Rising. This is going to be a season where we continue to explore the power of not only the power of perseverance and persistence of humans, but the power of God that enables people to stand up and find themselves in Him far after they were ready to give up on their own. And so I want to welcome to some of you for the first time, welcome to Hope Rising, and for some of you others, welcome back. I want to start off by saying, if you guys haven't yet, make sure that you subscribe to Hope Rising wherever you're watching it. Maybe you're watching it on YouTube. Maybe you're listening to it wherever you listen to podcasts. Subscribe, leave comments, leave a review, give us your feedback. But also, please make sure you share this with a friend. It is time for us to start growing. If this is your first time hearing us, if today's conversation moves you, go back to season 1. There are some gems. There are some beautiful, incredible conversations with powerful and inspirational individuals. And one of the individuals that you didn't get a chance to really hear much in season 1, but he was always present, was the producer of Hope Rising. I often referenced him. And when I referenced him, I said that he was this powerful man of faith, powerful man of integrity, who always stepped in and stepped up when I needed him, not only as a producer of this podcast, but also as a friend and as a man of God and a man of faith. And don't get me wrong, I understand some of you guys are listening. You want the hope and the inspiration. You don't want all the God talk. I get it. But when I think about Jason Hairston, I have to mention God and I have to mention faith, because those are the pillars he stands on as he stands as a man and a business owner and a father and a husband, and for me, a brother. So without further ado, we got to kick off season 1 by just having a dialogue with me and my boy Jay. So Jason Hairston, welcome to Hope Rising.
What up, Joe? What's going on?
For all of you that are listening, he has his arms in the air like he won some award or something. I said it like he ain't been on all the rest of the episodes.
Right.
Now, what they always miss, Jason, this is why I'm excited about season 2, by the way.
Yeah.
So we actually shifted what program we used to record now. And
Yes,
Jason be making these ridiculous faces during filming. And now I'm going to start creeping some of those faces into the broadcast, because he hands me like, hey, here's the video that I produced and I'm about to just add extra shots in. Where did that come from? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. So, Jay, I guess
Yeah.
get us started with this, man. As you reflect on season one, we sat down with some incredible individuals, celebrity chefs, Olympians, authors. We sat down with so many incredible people. As you reflect on that, what do you feel like you learned from our first season of just sitting down and talking about hope with individuals?
Honestly, bro, I feel like I learned how much I needed it.
Mm,
Like 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 as you put something out together, and as we sought out these amazing individuals that we had, don't get me wrong, it was incredible. And yes, we sought them out for the sake of like, man, I feel like it's going to be a really good interview. I really feel like people really be inspired by it. But as we sat in these interviews and listened to these people give their stories, and their triumphs, their wins, their losses, how they kept hope overall. As I listened to it, I like each recording. I walked away so fulfilled, so hope filled. No pun intended, but really, I felt hope rising, which each person that we talked to hear, the different gems and everything like that. Like I know, like for example, one gem that sticks out in my mind is when we interviewed entrepreneur Eddie Bowles Jr.
mm,
If you all didn't catch that episode, make sure you go back and listen to it. Listen to all of
mhm,
them. But one of the things Eddie said was that sometimes we get so caught up in wanting to build the wall, but we really need to focus on building one brick at a time excellently. And if we focus on building one brick at a time excellently, and we do that over time, next thing you know, you'll have the wall. So, it'll be like little things like that. Or, as we talked about, as we talked with, Sharmir, the artist who he went viral for the first wax, um, figure, no, not figurine. What's the right word?
I don't. I would have said figurine.
Wax figure.
So yeah.
Let me just figure. So anyway, he did the wax figure of Nipsey Hussle. He went viral for that, and talking to him and hearing how like every little bit that he used, like he didn't leave any gifting unturned, and everything felt like a way to like express what God had given him. And so as I listened to these individuals and their stories, couldn't help but to feel hopeful and then reflective of like, okay, so if that happened for them, and if they used every arrow that was in their metaphorical quiver, then let me make sure to check mine and to see what arrows I can shoot out.
Mm,
And so I think that's what I learned from each person of like, yo, you have arrows in your quiver. You have things that you're gifted in, and you have just so much to give the world, and so much purpose and gifting inside of you. Why not like use that, and not just to use it? And that's the crazy thing, right, Mo? Because like we, I think season one, we didn't really talk to any like church, like pastors or anything like that.
mhm.
We didn't interview anybody who's like specifically a spiritual leader. Yes, we talked to Nobles Darby the fourth, who is the
Who's a
chaplain
chaplain?
for the Cavs and the Browns, but
Mhm.
he was the closest thing. Everybody else were just in the marketplace, and a good amount of people that we interviewed were Christians, kingdom men and women of God in the marketplace.
Mm.
And so, I think it was just learning how, okay, my gifting isn't just for the church, isn't just for the four walls, the ecclesia. That's the fancy word, the Greek word that
You
some
always going to
Christians
use
like
a
to say for
fancy word. That was a $1.50 word. I didn't have but $1 in my pocket. But I
listen,
want
the
to I want to
classic
slow
man.
you down right here, Jason, because I want to spend some time here, and I want to make this personal.
Yeah,
You
bro.
said that it was like a reminder, a weekly reminder, that you have a quiver and you have arrows, and there's value in those arrows. I want you to talk more about that.
Yeah.
Why is it hard for people in general to remember the power of what they have in their own quiver? And why was that important thing for you? And then follow up with that is, as you're in that answer, what are you learning is in the quiver? I mean, like, make this real. What is in your quiver?
Yeah. I think what makes it hard for people to see what's in their own quiver is because experiences, life, and situations have blinded them from what's in their quiver.
Mm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
so there's been certain circumstances, certain people, certain situations that happen to these individuals, and they've been traumatic. And because they weren't processed in the right way and weren't processed well, when you heard such and such say, "Oh, you're a loser," you took that on as your identity instead of hearing that as, "Okay, that's your brokenness trying to put your broken pieces onto me.
Mm.
That's your wounds. You trying to bleed that out onto me." And so instead of letting that roll off and say like, "No, I'm not a loser," we let it. I've heard it saying this way: we let them write in our cement when it's wet.
Oh, wait,
Um,
wait, 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 wait a minute. I'm sorry. Give me that again. Give me that line again.
yep. And I'm an admitted plagiarist, and
I'm
yo,
an admitted
I
plagiarist.
listen. So I heard that specifically from Dr. Hart Ramsey.
Mm,
He's the one I heard it from,
mm,
and he was talked about how certain things are written in our cement when it's wet.
mm,
So again, if you think about concrete, if you think about cement, if you think about a sidewalk as they're laying it down, it comes out liquid and everything. But what, like, there's the whole thing of like, put a handprint on it or something like that, or even like the Hollywood like stars of fame and whatnot, they'll do their hands and whatnot. And so that gets imprinted. And so then when it gets hardened, it stays within the cement.
Well, that made
And
that
so,
makes me think about. I'm sorry. I got to jump. We about to
yeah, go
talk.
for it, man.
We about to.
Yeah.
I've been watching too much of The Basement lately. We just about to have us a conversation. Okay.
Here
Uh,
for it.
hey, we pressing B right now.
High
I
key.
was at my grandmother's house. My grandmother is 93 years old. Shout out to Mary Jean Fleming, who is not listening to this podcast, but I'm giving her the shout out anyway.
She deserves it. She deserves
uh,
it though.
so I'm at her house and I'm standing in her driveway. And I
Hmm.
have a moment where I remember, and this is just maybe a couple months ago, I remember that I was there when they poured the cement for the driveway. And because I remember that, I
Mm,
remembered that they carved their initials. My grandmother and my grandfather carved their initials into the driveway.
wow.
And so, because I had this memory, I kind of remembered where it was, and I looked and the cement had worn over time. This was, I don't know, 30 years ago. And I could just faintly make out some initials. And I thought to myself, sometimes it's been so long since things have been carved into the concrete that only the people who know where to look can find it.
Ooh,
So I need to say that
wee.
again.
Yeah. Hit it
Sometimes
one
it
more
has been
time.
so long since something was carved into that wet concrete that only the people, only the experts, only the ones who were there or the ones who have the intimate knowledge of it even know that the marks in the cement are there. And I think that that's how things get a little crazy sometimes, is that if you don't really know where to look, there will be whole words and phrases and sentences and song lyrics and things written in your cement. And because you never looked in that part of your driveway, your car has been driving up and down and back and forth past things that are shifting and changing your identity. She put her names in it. Her
Yeah.
name and his name were in that cement. Well, see, I have some names in the cement of my driveway as well. And if I'm not careful, I'll take on the identity. I'm sorry. I'm in a place
Yeah.
right now, man.
No, get it,
I'm in a
hit it,
place
bro.
right now. I hope that makes sense to everybody, right? Here's the analogy. Let me take it out of the cement because maybe somebody's like, look, dog, you keep talking about this cement and now you're just confusing me, right?
Right. Right.
Sometimes in life, we are in a place where we're vulnerable. And in that time, how people interact with us, it makes a difference. So if you are wide open to everybody's feedback and everybody's comments and everybody's conversations, and somebody wounds you with words, they scar you with telling you their opinions about you or their thoughts about you, and it casts a shadow over your own perception of yourself. I was
Yeah.
a good person. This person makes me feel like crap. I thought I had potential. This person is making me feel like a loser. And if you're not careful, you will take those words and you will grasp hold of them, and you will take hold of them and you will make them your identity.
1,000%, bro. Because I think about it for the ones that have unfortunately been in like abusive relationships, right? That's the whole thing, that they like tear them down and tear them down so much and get them such in that vulnerable place, so that it's not always physical, but it's the mental saying. And it will sometimes like leak out too, right? Well, like when sometimes you hear somebody say, "Oh, sorry, I can be a bit too much." Well, who told you that? Where did that come from, that you're too much?
Mm.
Like oh, sorry, I know I can be real loud, or real obnoxious. Who told you that? Like, did that come from you? Or did that come from somebody who didn't understand the excitement and the the gifting inside of you that is a little bit louder,
You
but
know,
because somebody couldn't handle you,
I've been
they're going
thinking
to say,
that
"Oh, you're
about.
just obnoxious."
Do you ever think about that when you think about what you've become in your career? Like you're a beat maker and you do all this stuff, and a lot of people like that used to bang on the table with spoons and all that and get in trouble. Man, I was always getting yelled at for talking. Right?
Wow,
I was
wow,
always getting yelled at
yeah.
for talking, and it hit me one day. This was about 3 years ago now, 2 years ago, and I'm standing in front of a TV camera, hosting a TV show, and I'm
Hmm.
remembering that I always used to get yelled at and told to shut up, and yet I was put on the earth to speak.
Wow, that
It's
is
like, oh,
crazy.
wow, because we want everybody to conform into certain behaviors and certain ways of acting, and this is the right thing, and this is the wrong thing, and this is appropriate, and this is inappropriate, and sometimes it's true, and
Hmm.
sometimes it's accurate, and sometimes we have people out of position. So it depends on the moment, right? So I'm not talking
Yeah.
about every time I got to shut up. Sometimes I needed to shut up.
Right, right, right,
But there was
right.
also some moments where I was in a room, and I was out of position.
And because I feel like when it comes to our purpose, bro, like as we like, it's offensive to fully walk in your purpose.
Ooh, what? wait, wait a minute. Say it again, then go somewhere. What?
Yeah, I think it's offensive to fully walk in your purpose. Like when you really see somebody like fully themselves and
Mhm.
fully walking into how they've been gifted and everything like that, other people get offended because either they can't handle it, or they're envious because, okay, I see you walking in your thing, and then it makes them reflect, okay, how come I'm not walking in my thing? And it makes them judgy and
Oh
jealous.
man, you know who I just thought about,
Because
right?
Jesus.
Oh, that would have been the right answer. That would have been.
No, no, go.
That would have, that would have
Oh,
been, if I was more holy, that would have been my answer. I am a man of God. I am the
yeah.
man of God. And I was not
Wait, wait,
that
wait,
holy in that moment.
wait. Before you answer, can I guess again?
Yeah, give me another one.
Coach Prime.
You already know. I was thinking about Coach Prime. Like all of a
Yes,
sudden, I was like,
yes.
"Oh my God!" Right? You see a man. For those of you that don't know, I have. I think most of us have a couple people who are like heroes that we really look up to, and I have this small list. And Coach Deion Sanders is certainly one of those people, and has been for most of my life, but really in this season for how he walks in his faith and how he walks in his confidence and belief. I mean, I literally watch his press conferences just so I can learn about faith. Like it's a weird thing to say, but it's real.
High
And
key.
No, when you said that, Jay, I'm like, oh my gosh. When he walks all the way boldly in it, it's offensive to people. It makes people so angry. It turns so many
Upset.
people off. People team up against him. They're railing against the team. That's what they get for losing. Well, they lost because they only won one game last season and they were playing against the number whatever team in the country, and they were probably going to lose this game the whole time. And the fact that they only lost by one touchdown shows how good the people are. You know what I'm saying? Like there's always like the
Yeah.
real story, but then
Yeah.
there's like the narrative people want to create because they're offended by purpose.
Offended.
Oh
Like
my gosh,
real hurt.
Jason. Oh, we going there in season 2, huh?
Hey, bro, we ain't here to pull no punches, man.
Mm.
And because I feel like a lot of times when we walk in, like we think it's really going to be all sunshine, rainbows, and unicorns as we start to walk in what God has given us. But it's like, I'll only speak for me. The more I'm realizing, okay, my giftings, whether it is podcasting, but in general, I would say more specifically, like in like speaking, because that's been a big thing for me, like throughout my life. Like I've talked when I've needed to, but I've been pretty quiet. But I'm just even before we started recording, bro, you were saying like, bro, you can't keep hiding. Like this is the time. Like you got to be out and you got to talk. You got to speak. And so even as I've been embracing that more, I feel like it's been that much harder on me emotionally and mentally,
Mm.
just personally, of trying to break out of who I thought I was to accept who I am.
Oh, do you want to know why
And
it's been so
so
hard for you to break out of it, Jason? I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
talk to me nice. Talk
Everybody
to me nice.
everybody in season 1, they mostly got Maurice the host. And there was and like the prophet only came out like a couple times. Like he kind of like snuck out by
Hmm.
accident a couple times. Everybody who's really paying attention knows what's up, right? Like he
Hmm.
don't take no notes, and he be real profound with everything he says. It's called the Holy Spirit. Um,
Yep.
you about to get the prophet on this one. I'm so sorry. Jason,
No,
if
I
people are
pull on you,
coming to,
bro. So
if the enemy's goal was to come at you to attack your identity, you said that what you learned in season 1 was that you had to know what was in your quiver. Inside of
mm,
a quiver are arrows. Arrows are used to attack people from a distance. And so sometimes what
okay.
happens is if I don't go into my bag, into my quiver and pull out my arrows and attack and attack that thing that is trying to attack me, I will let it get too close. And if you get too close, then the arrows don't have the same significance because I don't have time to do the pullback.
Mm.
So I feel like this is a lesson for you that sometimes I need to get into my bag before the danger comes. I got to be proactive in knowing what I bring to the table, knowing who I am and my gifts and my strengths and in all those things. And I need to say, God, I'm not going to wait till somebody offends me to say who I am. I'm not going to wait till I'm
Yeah.
feeling broken to say, God, show me who I am. I'm going to declare and decree. When Coach Prime takes them Buffaloes into a stadium, they're on attack. And they don't care
Yeah.
if the other team is supposed to win, quote unquote, or not. They're going to attack that team and they're going in with their own game plan. Yeah, I know you got a
Yeah.
game plan for me, but I got a game plan for you. And the question is, are you playing defense and are you waiting for the offensive to hit you before you reach into your bag and pull out your arrows?
Bro, that's so good. Because I just thought about Samson, right?
Mm,
If he would have been in his bag sooner, he might have still been around.
that's it.
But what happened? He flexed when the enemy got too close. Because and forgive me, I think it was with Delilah. Yeah, I think it was with Delilah where he was talking about like where he's kind of flexing like, oh, I am this, my hair has never been cut, I'm man of God, I'm this and that, like running down like who he was, how God has made him and everything. But it was too late. Delilah was already in the bed. And then
Mm,
bit by bit she got too close, the hair chopped off, and my man was locked up. And now again, No, I'm gonna leave right there. 'Cause I think that's where the heart of it is. And so, like, to your point, like we can, like, we really have to keep in front of us who we are, because if not, if we're not in our bag, then it's easy to like creep in. It's easy for the enemy to get one little foothold. All it takes is one little what if. That's how humanity fell, right?
That's it. That's it. And
Because all Satan did was ask Eve a little foothold of a question and to let him in.
Adam
Did
and Eve
God really
lost
say?
their identity in part because of proximity. They let the serpent get all the way in. They let him come up, and there was this conversation that's taking place. Did you ever see where it says that Eve ate the fruit, and then the scripture says, and then she handed it to Adam, who was with her? My wife pointed that out to me. I said, "What does it say?" That was with her, which means they were in the same place. Eve was talking to the serpent. Adam was being a guy, probably halfway like locked into the conversation, halfway out of it, and he you just let this thing come up to her and just start chit chatting, huh?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe all the animals used to speak back then and they could understand them all, but all I know is she was sweet talking to the wrong one. And sometimes
Mhm.
in life, look, I'll speak for me, Jay. There's
Yeah.
been some times in my life where I knew it was a snake I was in front of. But because of my own insecurities, or because of feeling, or because of my lack of discernment in a moment, I let someone get in far too close and then got caught
Absolutely.
off guard when I was struck. But they're a serpent. That's what they were going to do. The serpent was always going to strike. And so sometimes
Absolutely.
what we do is we play this waiting game because but maybe they've changed. It's a serpent. It's in front of you. A serpent. The serpent's gonna serpent. Like
Right.
at the end of the day,
Serp's
like
gonna
so
serve.
I got some friends. You stop letting the dog around. The dog is gonna dog eventually. Like that's just a fact. You know what I'm
I
saying?
key.
Like he's a dog. He was always a dog. He was a dog before you met him. He was a dog while you were dating him. He's a dog now. He all he did was bark. All he did was bite. He was always going to, and he always will. And so the
Right.
reality is, now don't get me wrong. There's a time when what you see is a person who is broken but wounded, and the person who is
Mhm.
broken just needs to heal. And once the wound is guarded and protected and healed, then they will go back to acting as normal. But I have to
Right.
know the difference between a wounded person and a snake. Sometimes they can both strike out at you, but they
Yeah.
are different.
Ooh. Sweet God. Yeah. Oh man. They can both strike out at you, but you really got to discern. Like, yeah, that discernment piece is huge, bro.
It is,
Oh,
right?
that's so good.
And
And
discernment has to go in every direction, right?
hmm and and even just in general, like in the realm of what we're talking about, like the Bible is clear that says, resist the devil and he will flee from you.
Mm,
Like resistance, I feel like takes some distance. Like, because if I'm going to resist you, that means I'm going to get you away. Like I can't have you close. I have to get some distance between us to resist you, to really resist and everything. um I don't know, cause I'm so sitting on this whole like arrow thing, man, and like getting close and whatnot, like getting in our bag, because that really is what happened. Anybody that you see, or like for example, like Jezebel, right? Especially within the church, a lot of people like to bring up, oh, the Jezebel spirit and everything. Well, let's look more at like what a Jezebel spirit is, or like what happens in that situation. Like a Jezebel is a person that connects to higher like leadership, upper leadership. So it's
mm,
somebody that is close in with leadership. The only reason King Ahab, I believe, that did what he did is because Jezebel was in close with him.
come on.
But if he would have kept him at a distance, as he should have, then he probably would have had a little bit more. If
Y-
David kept Bathsheba out in the distance and didn't say, "Bring her to me, bring her in
you
close,"
preaching now.
come on, okay.
No, you in your bag is where you are, right? And it's so interesting because that scripture you just referenced, it says, therefore submit yourself to the Lord, resist the devil, and he will flee.
Yes.
Right? And so like that's where some people get it, is they try to resist the devil in their own strength. They try to
Mm,
resist the devil with only what's in their man-made bag. I'm not really concerned with your man-made bag. I'm
right.
submitted. I'm concerned about what is in your God-given bag.
Yes.
Ooh, I never thought about those words before. Thank you, Lord.
Your
Because
God
think about the
given
difference,
bag.
right? Sometimes what happens
Yeah.
is when things get heavy and tough and stressful, we think about what we've built with our hands, and we think that's what's in our bag. And so we
Hmm.
we pull out like things that come from ego or pride or whatever that, and it doesn't work. And so the enemy just uses it against you. And you're like, but I thought, and he's like, well, that was the problem, was you was thinking instead of praying. And so what the scripture
Yeah.
says is submit yourself to the Lord, resist the devil, and he will flee. It's me going, now, Lord, I surrender everything to you, to your plan, to your will, to your way. I want what you want for my life. So I'm asking you, tell me which weapons to use. You made me,
Yeah.
you created me, you know what's ahead of me, you know what I need to do to face it. And so now when I go into my bag, I'm not just pulling out a Maurice arrow. This is Jesus's arrow. This
High
is this
key.
is this is this is the word of God. Like he said, if he said, ain't nothing you can say that's in. And that's the problem, is we want to just pull out our own bag. No, I want God's bag. What did God say about me? How did God create me? What did he create me to do and say and be? What can I stand in and stand on from a surrendered posture with God? Because if I'm resisting the devil while giving all to God, God then can reign as my protector in that moment.
Hmm.
I shoot out the arrow, but he puts fire on the arrow while it's in the air.
Yeah. Absolutely. Ooh, bro. And then I can't help but to think about David, right? I feel like David is the perfect like illustration of what you're talking about. Because the man-made bag was Saul's armor.
That's it.
And if David wasn't didn't know himself well enough and comfortable with himself enough, he would have been like, okay, this is what I need. Let me go into this man-made bag here to take on this giant. But like I think there's something to be said that we really need to be confident and secure in the bag that God has given us, and to see like, okay, a sling and a stone is enough.
Oh
And
man,
and so
Lord.
and
Oh, I'm
and
so sorry. I don't know what
yeah,
Holy Spirit is doing right now, but this is
it.
bananas. People are hearing this in real time. I'm so
Yep.
listen to this.
Yep.
Listen to this. David, in his most pivotal battle in young life, removes the armor that people expect him to wear as the king and the warrior in that moment. He's standing for the king. He's standing in on behalf of the king in that moment. David is
Absolutely.
already the king. Let's be very clear. He's already been anointed king, the next king. Maybe the king standing in front of him doesn't know that, but he knows.
Hmm.
He had to take off the last king's armor to wear his own, and his own looked like his flesh. His own looked like whatever he wore in. Now, I want you to think about when David gets the Ark of the Covenant. And the scripture says that David realizes he has to worship God as they travel. And David begins to worship in front of the ark, to the point where all of his kingly robes come off. He dances
Yeah.
off the garb that people would think is to be the king, and now he looks the same as he was when he slayed Goliath. Now, I'm not saying he was butt naked when he slayed Goliath, but he certainly wasn't wearing them kingly robes or the kingly armor or anything that was
Yeah.
supposed to
Yeah.
represent the king. Because when I represent God, I must be willing to get naked before him.
I'll get more undignified than this. Like Like it doesn't matter. Like the titles don't matter. What position I hold doesn't matter.
That part.
Like God matters. My relationship with Him, my heart towards Him matters. Creating me a clean heart, renew a right spirit. He didn't say creating me a clean bloodline, or renew a right rule as I rule these people. God, no. David was way more concerned with his heart and his relationship and standing with God than he was any appearance of kingliness or anything like that.
I think
That
that's
that
why
that's what
we've
took precedence.
that's why we've seen some leaders fall in our time, right? And
Yeah,
I'm not talking negative about people. I'm simply saying
right.
one thing that we've witnessed as a Christian people is when individuals cannot be checked or checked on because they're the king of the castle. So somebody's
Yeah.
like, "Hey, pastor, you seem like you're in error." "Hey, pastor, it seems like your eyes have been some places that are dangerous," but you can't say anything to them because you get checked. "I'm the king. Say nothing to me." And we
Yeah.
understand that pride cometh before the fall, right? And so sometimes
Yes.
when I have no accountability, or when I only have accountability that I acknowledge when it stands for what I want today, I'm then now when I resist the devil, I'm resisting the devil without the submission to God. Because submission to God is also submission to the men of God that He places around me. That's a real
A thousand
thing.
percent.
Like we He doesn't make us do this on our own. He said it's not good for man to be alone. So I'm not supposed to be an island doing things all by myself. I understand that's about
Yeah.
Adam and Eve, but at the end of the day, that's also about His church. It's the
Yes.
design of
Yes.
how He builds things. If Jesus was supposed to do it all by Himself, why did He walk around with disciples? I mean, if God in the flesh didn't do it by Himself, why are you? And I have
What
to
makes you
always
think
ask,
you can?
come on.
Like like the perfect man that we call Jesus Christ of Nazareth had a whole crew, and you think you're gonna take on the world just you, yourself, and your grit? Come on, man.
Mm,
You need people. You need to trust people.
absolutely.
You can't be successful on your own. You can't win on your own. You need somebody.
I
Because
almost
if
would say,
you
even with Jesus watching the perfect one, sometimes you can see Him learning,
mm,
painfully learning, because when He sees the lack of faith in people, when He
mhm,
sees the people falling short, and He realizes, oh, I got to step up and do this one again. What is wrong with y'all? Like, I mean, He has actual reactions to things where
yeah,
you see Him challenged in moments. He just doesn't sin, but He feels things, and He's growing in stature and in character as He's moving forward. I think people miss the growth of Jesus when we watch Him. Right, you
yeah,
do see a progression. I have a good friend, Mark, and he always says, and he's somewhat of a theologian, and he went to college for it and whatnot, and he always says, when you see Jesus in the first temptation, and he goes off into the wilderness to be tempted, he goes, he's got 30 days of a battle in him, and by the time he gets to the end of the temptations, the angels have to come, and they have to minister to
minister to
him.
him.
He said, you can't tell
Yeah,
me that's the same Jesus as Gethsemane. He says that's a different man sitting there who is sweating tears as like blood. Like this is
mm,
like he now is in a different test. It's more powerful.
yeah,
It's stronger. Think of all he's been betrayed. He's been left behind. They've threatened to kill him. He's had to deny his family. There's all these things that have happened, and yet he still has a point where now this is the next temptation. Am I willing to say yes again, understanding that the yes is the death and the death is needed for the life? Am I willing to go for, Father, do I have to do this? But if I do have to do this, then may your will be done. There's a growth
mm,
there in that. Okay, this is the next test. This is the next growth. This is the
yeah,
next maturity. I think that if we don't acknowledge Jesus getting to say yes, and getting to grow and getting to mature and getting to do, if we don't acknowledge it, how do you say he lived a human existence? Like, if you disregard the
Yeah.
humanity part, what was the point? Like, okay, well, he just got superhuman everything the whole time. Like, I don't think that's real. I think that he was
Yeah.
feeling stuff like a human, which is why scripture says we can go boldly to the throne of grace, because we don't have a high priest who does not understand the things we've been through in our lives. I'm sorry.
No,
Am I
I mean,
making
but you're right
sense,
though.
or am I talking
And
crazy
even
talk?
no, yeah, I'm you in the book. um, but even for the things like, like Jesus wept, him flipping tables, all those things, like those are emotions that are coming out. He's having that full human experience. Like it. I don't know. It makes sense to me. And again, like if Jesus didn't have to grow, the Bible would have never said, and he grew in wisdom and stature.
Come on.
Like
But
like
Jason, that was when
there
he
was
was a
growth that
kid.
had to
That said he
happen.
was a kid when that happened. Well, why did he need to grow as a
Yes.
kid if he came out all with all of the God wisdom? Like it,
Hmm.
like I'm just saying, like at the end of the day, he had to tap in. Like, just, I won't say just like us, we trying to learn how to tap in just like him. Like, but at the end of the day, there's a
Right.
process he went through. Listen, man, if y'all are loving this conversation, or maybe you're hating it, maybe you're like, this is a stupid conversation, y'all don't know what you're talking about, make sure you are leaving comments, give us the other scriptures we missed, share this with a friend, get some. Hey, we're trying to be in our quiver today,
Blasphemous.
in our bag,
But
okay?
yeah.
But this is the godly
Yeah.
bag where we have submitted to we prayed before we started. All right. So
Hmm.
Jason, how did we get in all this whole conversation? You were talking about how you were going through this season of your life, and then you were listening to season 1 of Hope Rising, and as you were
Yeah.
listening, it reminded you of what's in your bag, and the arrows, and making sure you pulled them out, and then we went off on a whole tangent, which was the right conversation to have. I don't want to take
Right.
up
Right.
everybody's time or yours for too much, and so here's where I want to
Right.
go next, right? So you
Yes, sir.
personally have been walking into the boldness of a new season,
Yes.
with your wife and your family. You've got multiple things going on. You got multiple things to protect, and also multiple things to stand on. What
Yeah.
has that journey been like for you? I'll just ask that question. What's that journey been like?
It is. Literally been probably the most difficult time in my life, like mentally and emotionally. And that's not to say, like, I mean, a lot of good things are happening. I'm trying to be pretty open and transparent, so I'm gonna keep it a buck. My wife is about 6 7 months pregnant right now. At the time that we're recording this, um, so I'm gonna have another child,
Let's
and
go.
that's
Let's go.
incredible. It's
We
amazing.
celebrating
So
that one. Come on,
hashtag
nephew.
2 time dad.
Was I
What's
supposed
up?
to say that? Was I allowed to say what it was coming out? Did I mess up?
Oh yeah, no, yeah, no, it's cool. It's cool.
Then
Yeah,
let's
we know.
go, nephew.
Yeah, all by the time they hear, the family already know, so we're good. Yeah, so I got another son coming. God has blessed us that we are building our first house right now, and so that's been a long awaited like prayer that's happening right now. So like a lot of good things are happening, but yet and still, there's been such a submission that I've had to go through, and a deconstructing that I'm still going through,
Mm.
of what do I feel like a man is, and how to lead a household, and just all these things. Like it's been it's been a journey, man, it's really has challenged me in some pretty significant ways. And to be even more honest, because sometimes I believe like you can hear about a good story too late, and sometimes you need it.
You just be hitting gems. Sometimes you can hear about a story too late.
But really, because like we always love the stories of like, all right, how did you overcome that? But maybe sometimes it's helpful to hear like, okay, no, I'm in the midst of that. And we're always good of like, oh, this is what I did right, like I read a book and did this and yada yada yada. hey, that's all great to hear, but sometimes I feel like it's helpful to like really empathize with people so they know that like, yo, the experiences that I'm feeling isn't just unique to me. Like somebody else has gone through this, like knowing that the same afflictions are accomplished in your brethren in Christ who are in the world. I know I
Come
kind of
on.
butchered that a little bit, but it's cool. But saying that to say, I haven't navigated this like the perfect like, oh, your will be done, Father God, whatever you say. Like
Now y'all see how goofy this dude is at all times.
so it hasn't been that. But what it has looked like is not having energy for the day. What it has looked like is a lot of questions and questioning in myself, like, are my efforts even worth it? Like if I go out to the metaphorical field, or if I go into my proverbial metaphorical bag, since we've been talking about the big bag they're giving me, if I pull out this arrow and I shoot it, is it going to even hit a target? Or am I just sending this arrow out just to fall to the ground?
Mm.
And I don't know, but it's like, yet and still, there's something inside of me that's like, all right, here I go again. Just having to just shoot it out, to pull back, shoot it out, and hope it hits its target. But it's almost like, like I lost sight of the arrow. Like it's still going. It might hit its target, it
Oh,
might not.
Jason. You know, part of the problem, Jason, when you watch people do long range target shooting, they never aim the arrow straight ahead. They always point the arrow up.
And so it's
They
and then
always
eventually
point the
bam.
arrow up. And so sometimes what happens is I point the arrow at what I'm staring at instead of pointing it past what I'm staring at into the next season, that because that's where the target is that the arrow is actually meant to hit. And when it's a spiritual journey and a spiritual battle, I have to trust that what is above the arrow, the wind is guiding it
Yeah.
because it knows where the destination is meant to be. So make sure your arrow is pointing up.
A 1,000%, because I know, and maybe y'all are like me. If I shoot an arrow, I want to see that mug hit the target. Like I want to see it immediately. I want confirmation that like I shot my shot and it hit where it needed to hit. I'm not trying to wait to see later on, like, okay, did I actually get it? No, I want to see it now. But a lot of times in our journeys, you're not going to see the fruits of your shot right now. You're not going to see the fruits of your labor. Nobody in the history of forever has ever planted an apple tree and immediately got apples
Come
7 days
on.
later.
Come on, wisdom. Come on, wisdom. Oh, that's good.
So it's again, we're Bible cast, so we're just gonna hit Bible. Seed time harvest. I want seed harvest. I don't want the time. I don't want to have to wait. And here's also the crazy thing about an apple tree too, because I was looking it up a little while ago, is that even like when it's apple season, and even when like your apple tree starts to like have fruit and whatnot, sometimes it's still not ready.
Mm,
So even you'll see the fruit there, but the fruit and the tree hasn't matured enough to where it's consumable. And
that's
so
so
if you
good.
grab an apple off of the tree too early, then it could be, you could just tell that like, oh God, this wasn't ready. This isn't an apple that's right for consumption. And so many of us, but again, I'm gonna take it home for me. For me, as soon as I see any kind of type of anything looking like an apple on my tree, I want to partake in and eat it. I don't want to wait the time because, I've already been waiting years for this tree to sprout fruit. So now that I'm starting to see glimmers of fruit, now I have to wait even more until it's ready.
And if you
Man, I
take
want.
it off the tree too fast, you've removed it from the vine.
And so now I just have underdone, not ready fruit that
Mm,
I can't do anything with it. I can't eat it. I have to throw it away,
come
and it's of
on.
no use to me, to anybody. But
So
if I just sit in it, just
take us home, Jay.
mhm.
Take us home. So you've been really transparent that you've had hard days, rough days, hard times, bad times, and yet there's kind of an understanding with everybody that's at least in our circle that you have entered into probably one of the best seasons of your life. And so that sounds a little bit counter to the story that you've told us. And yet I know it's all true. There's somebody else
Mhm.
who is listening today and they're in a good season. Good things are happening in their life, and yet it hurts and it's hard. And they got mornings when they don't know how to get out of bed and they don't have the energy to make it through the day. The same things you've described.
Yeah.
How does a person find hope, find faith, find the strength to keep going? How do they do that when the fact that it's a good season isn't enough? when the simple knowledge that is a good time is not enough.
Yeah. I would say what I'm learning and what I'm trying to learn is to have a long memory and a solid resolution. A long memory and a solid resolution. So, a long memory meaning however you started off in your journey, if you have a promise, we all have a promise, but whatever like your specific promise is, to know that, like, okay, it can't end like this. My story doesn't end here. My story can't end here. So, like, no matter how I'm feeling, this can't be all that there is. Like, I feel like all of us on the inside have that something that, even no matter how much we want to remain comfortable or in our comfort zones and whatnot, there's always this little nagging thing in the back of our mind that says there's more. And so it you just can't get away from it. You always know there's more. And so I feel like it just comes from a place of, like, to get through that, being like really leaning into that more, leaning into that, like, this can't be it. Like, but I also feel like for that, you really have to see yourself correctly. And so some of that work might have to also deal with going back to that cement, taking a jackhammer to remove who wrote in your cement when it was wet,
Come on.
and then replacing it. And even if the even if the person that wrote in your cement was yourself,
Mm. Even if it was you who spoke those words over your life. That's
even
good.
if it was me that said, I'm not this, or I can't, or anything like that, to be like, you know what? No, I don't believe what I said about me. I believe what God says about me,
That's it. I
and I'm
was
going to go
wrong.
with that.
I was wrong. And now I've learned. I've learned the capital T truth that what God
Mhm.
says is the real
And
truth.
and that's and that's painful to do. Like it's literally like it's a physical pain sometimes that we feel when we're wrong. And naturally, we don't want to feel any kind of pain of any sort. But we like to face that pain of, I was wrong. No matter what it was, if it was you that wrote in your cement, if it was somebody else that wrote in your cement, to say, however I've been thinking about myself, whatever destructive thoughts I've been having about myself, I'm wrong. That hurts, because then you have to let it go, and then you have to reconstruct. But then I think once you do that, then you can get through those hard times and those hard days. And then having that resolution that, um, it will get better. It will be something after this. Because if my story was in, then I'd be in the grave.
Mm. Come
But
on, come on, come on.
since you're not in the grave, the story is not over. The story continues, and so there has to be more. There's more. There's more than life than just house, cars, and the tangible stuff that you can see. That's all cool in the gang, but we're deep, complex people. There's more. And I would even say that's the reason for the podcast, right? I'm finishing up here because I know I'm talking long, but That's the reason of the podcast, Hope Rising. And that's why we found the people that we found, these successful, amazing people, and a lot of people that we brought on. Like they have the tangible stuff. Like they can easily show you the tangible stuff, but it doesn't fulfill you. It can't fulfill you. There's more, and so going for that more.
There is more to your individual journey. There's more to you than you understand. There's more to God than what you've learned. And there is much more of Hope Rising on the way. The beautiful thing is we're
Like what you
doing
did
this
there.
very similarly to how we did last season. In season one, you would have no idea what was actually the first episode we filmed because we gave you guys the episodes out of order on purpose. And so we're
Mm-hmm.
doing the same thing this season. So we've actually already filmed multiple episodes for this season, and I'm excited for where it's going and the type of people. You will have heard of more and more of the people who are coming on because we have multiple guests who are honestly world renowned, and I'm kind of blown away that some of these people are joining us this early in the game. But that's how you know that the Lord's hand is on us and is on the podcast.
A
And I
thousand
would be
percent.
remiss with all of this if I didn't give everyone what they want. You got to give the people what they want, Jason. And by the way,
Got to give the people
if
what they
you have
want.
enjoyed this, by the way, again, we want your comments, your feedback, your thoughts. Would you share this? Would you subscribe? Like just help move things to the next level. And we need to know the next level that Jason has to offer because he's not getting out of this episode without the question that everybody gets. And so, Mr. Hairston, there is a person 100 years from now that is inside of a museum, and it is a
Mm-hmm.
museum of popular culture. And as you walk through this museum, there is a room marked Hope. Inside
Mm-hmm.
of the museum, inside of that room, there is a time capsule, and it's got your name on it, and it has photos of you and your family. It has some video snippets of videos that you have created and beats that you have made that have spanned the globe. Because some people don't know you're a musician and you are an engineer and you are so many different things. Shout out to you for all of the different things that you do. And then there is this recording. And there is somebody who is holding a tablet. They're holding it in their hands. And they are in need of hope. What would you tell them that hope is?
You know, it's funny. I've heard this question tens of times at this point. But to actually like give the answer, it's like, oh man, I I think I would tell them hope is the assurance that there's more to you and more to your life than what it may seem right now. Hope is the assurance that there's more to you and more to your life than what you see right now. Hope, I know it says faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not yet seen. But it's faith and hope are so intertwined with one another. Like basically faith for the future is hope. And so as that person is watching it, wherever they may find themselves, I just don't want them to be complacent with wherever they are now. Whether it's a great place or a not so great place. Don't want you to just stay as you are. I want you to grow, because again, you are a unique, never before have been, never before will be again person. And you have purpose and destiny and so much inside of you. And in no way can it be limited. In no way can it be shortchanged. You, your family, and the world needs the totality of who you are. And hope is that thing that you cling to that will get you there. I think that's what I would say.
everything that you would say to them, I hope you have listened to for yourself, because it's all so real and so true. And so,
For sure.
Jason, I appreciate that you have joined us in this capacity. All of our listeners and viewers will be excited to know that you will be kind of taking an increased role in this season. They'll be seeing you pop up every
Yeah.
now and then, asking a few questions and just kind of sharing the podcast with me, because you have, just tremendous insights and wisdom to bring. If somebody has enjoyed hearing this, they want to find you online. Maybe they want to listen to your podcast because you have a podcast as well. How does a
Yeah.
person find you?
So you can find me a multitude of ways, but I would say the best way, you get through IG. You can either follow the business page, which is at EWT, Everyone Wins Together Productions. So at EWT, that's on all social media: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Threads. Well, no, I'm not on Threads yet. Sorry, but those are the
Just sitting here, just
main
lying to
ways.
people, just lying,
Just lying,
just
liar.
lying. You should have been a lawyer,
Or
just lawyer. Just, I'm sorry, that's my dear. Sorry.
no, you good. Or you could find me personally on IG. It's at Jason Dante 824. At Jason Dante 824. Either way, I think those would be the best ways to find me, and yeah, it'll be great. And oh yeah, you said a podcast. Yeah, I have a podcast too. Sorry, I forgot about that. I have a podcast, As Quiet as It's Kept. It's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple. It's available now. Season one's already up. As Quiet as It's Kept. Check us out. Leave a comment, rate, subscribe, the whole nine. And yeah, you can. And you also find me here with Hope Rising. So
That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. And so, we are truly excited about this season. You're gonna get a peek into different areas of my life and our lives in this season. And that first season, it was, at least for me, mostly strangers. For me, I was actually meeting most of those people for the first time in the midst of the
yeah,
interview. But in this season, you'll be meeting my beautiful wife. You will be meeting some of our friends and our close compatriots. What do you call them?
compadres,
Compadres.
compatriots,
You'll be meeting some of our heroes. Like, I'm,
comrades.
I'm telling you, this season is loaded already. And so one thing we do want to give you an opportunity to do is you might want to partner with this podcast. We want to make sure that you have the ability to do that. We are currently looking for multiple show sponsors. And the cool thing is we
Yes.
actually have sponsorship packages. And how they work is, we send you the packages. You can sponsor just one episode. You can sponsor multiple episodes. And so you have an opportunity to either have us talk about you in the midst of the episode, or you can actually submit a commercial that can be inputted. And so we go over all those details with you. But it's super affordable. We understand that we're early on in the podcast game, so we're not trying to charge you $1 million, but we do have costs and expenses. And so we appreciate all of the support we've already had in terms of people showing up to the podcast. Now we're just looking for that extra support that helps us get Hope Rising to more ears and more eyes, so that we can spread hope in every way possible. And we, oh,
Absolutely.
I got one last thing. I
Yeah.
know you guys are used to us coming on here every Monday. And for some of you, this might have been your first episode. We're here every Monday. But by the way, we also going live every Thursday. That is right.
Hey,
So
hey,
today,
hey,
oh, y'all
hey.
see this?
Sorry.
This is the stuff he be doing off camera. Yeah, y'all saw that. Y'all saw that. Yeah, there it is. That's what I be talking about. So,
Actually, wait, right quick, before you continue.
yes.
Also with the sponsorships and everything,
Mm-hmm.
doing that will also help us get awesome people like Coach Deion Sanders. If anybody has a plug, let us know. Just gonna
Yeah,
throw that out there.
if any of you guys, we said this every episode. If you have somebody that you're like, you guys need to sit down with so and so, please let us know.
Yes,
But also, if you know people, like if you're a connector and you guys would be great to talk to this person, and you know the person, hook us up, okay? Because that's sometimes
please.
people need people.
Yeah.
And so,
Like we talked about.
but every Thursday, I think a lot of those episodes are probably just going to be me and Jason, but you never know. I mean, there's different ways we might do it, but we're going
Right.
live. We're going to be having conversations where you can jump in. You can be a part of the conversation with your comments and your feedback and your thoughts. And so that is something we're going to be doing. So today is Monday. When you look up on Thursday, we will be there. I'm not going to tell you what time yet, because we actually have to decide all the time still. But you're going to be seeing us. I'm guessing it'll probably be around 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is my guess. And so keep a lookout for Hope Rising Live. It's coming your way. So that's the last couple things. We are taking show sponsors. If you want to be a sponsor, if you want to sow a seed and support, we would love to have it. By the way, in the comments, we do have our Cash App there. If you want to sow a seed to bless us and to bless what we're trying to do, we welcome it. We always welcome your support. But then come see us Thursday. We gonna be live. We're starting a new thing. We're excited about it. And I'm excited about everything that is happening for season 2 of Hope Rising. So tell your friends. I was just thinking about, man, you remember that old video? Hide your kid, hide your wife. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Something is really wrong with me today. I'm so sorry. Tell your friends, hilarious. Tell your neighbors, hide your kid, hide your wife. I don't know how I got there. Anyway, so until
you had to hide them, bring them out.
That's it. So we will look forward to seeing you on Thursday live for some of you, and for others, we might not see you again until next Monday, or you may not hear from us again until next Monday. And that is okay. But we look forward to seeing you again on Hope Rising, where the unfulfilled go to find fulfillment and the uninspired go for inspiration. We'll talk to you soon.